Good morning to you. It looks like, ahead of next week's spending review, that your department, Transport, is one of the big winners then.
So what we're announcing today is the largest ever investment in local transport projects outside of London in our big towns and cities, places like Greater Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, the North East, Newcastle, Sunderland, the Midlands, Birmingham. And this is twice as much as the last Conservative government was spending on these projects. And it's going to unlock investment in better buses, better trams, better rail links. And it's really important that we put our money where our mouth is now as a government, and that we invest in the long-term economic future. It's really critical that young people growing up in places like Bradford have a means to access the great jobs in Leeds. And so it's an exciting day. There's lots of exciting projects that our mayors in those city regions are wanting to take forward, whether it's Richard Parker in Birmingham, who wants to extend the metro in West Midlands out to North Solihull, unlocking investment around Birmingham City Football Club. Equally in West Yorkshire, Mayor Tracy Brabin doesn't lose an opportunity to tell me it's time for trams in her city region. And so there's a lot of exciting proposals there across the country. And we really do think this can unlock economic growth in parts of the country which we all know have historically had underinvestment.
Yeah, so is this putting them further ahead, or is this just playing catch up with the South East?
Yeah, so if you think about some of the big transport schemes that have been delivered over the last decade, you've had the Elizabeth line built and constructed in London, which is a fantastic addition to our capital city. We're obviously constructing HS2 from London to Birmingham, but we realise that there is huge untapped potential in England's second cities. And if we can unlock the potential of places like Greater Manchester, Liverpool, Sheffield, Leeds, Birmingham, Bristol, Newcastle, that if we could bring productivity in those areas up to the national average, you could see a 3.8% increase in gross value added. And so not only is it about improving the day-to-day lives of people, this is the way that people access jobs, they access vital public services, they make trips to see friends and family and on leisure trips. But it can have this huge economic impact as well. And so that's why, it's imperative that we move forward with this as part of the new Labour government's plan for change. Yeah,
I noticed you said second cities there. I'm not going to make you pick Manchester or Birmingham because that's a whole other discussion. I'm not sure you can have more than one, though, to be fair to you.
I'm a politician, Matt. I'm not going down that route.
Look, you mentioned, though, trying to benefit young people. But if the early signs are to be believed, there's going to be a potential cut. Certainly if Sam Coates' research there using AI is to be believed, there's going to be a cut in the education budget this time next week. So what you're spending on transport is in other ways taking away from young people, taking away from education.
So what we're talking about today is the government's capital budget. This is the money that we spend on a sort of one-off basis to invest in the long-term future of the country. The vast majority of the education budget is on sort of day-to-day spending. I do know
but there are going to be cuts, Heidi, to them, aren't there? There are going to be cuts to some of these departments. You can't make the numbers add up without those cuts.
Well, I think what the Chancellor did last summer in the autumn budget was take a number of quite difficult but necessary decisions in order to stabilise the economy and to make the UK a place where businesses want to invest. And it's only if we've got revenues flowing into the exchequer that we can then afford to, invest in our critical public services, of which schools, colleges are a vital component. Of course, the NHS.
Sorry to interrupt, because we haven't got too much time. But revenues flowing into the exchequer, some in your own party would like that to be a raising of taxes. You've got the OECD revising down the economic outlook for the country right now, saying you should be taking another look at council tax and raising that for some.
So when we had the autumn budget last year, the Chancellor was clear that we had to put some taxes up, but that it was really a sort of once in a parliament event. We, of course, keep taxes under review, but we did make that commitment in our manifesto not to put up income tax, not to put up national insurance, employees' contributions on working people, not to increase VAT, apart from getting rid of that VAT exemption that people who sent their children, 5% of people that sent their children to private school enjoyed. And we are determined to honour our manifesto commitments. And so I'm not pretending that the Chancellor has an easy job in allocating the money that's available. We do have to live within our means, but I do know that she is determined to make sure that whether it's schools, whether it's the NHS, whether it's policing, that all of those parts of government have the money that it needs, whilst enabling us to unlock these projects that we're talking about today, which are going to create the strong economy that we need into the future.
But unlocking projects that are going to be years before they come to fruition. And this week, as you know, has been dominated by defence. We spoke to John Healey yesterday, and now transport as well. And we may not see the benefit as a country of either of those investments, as you put it, for years and years. No shovels in the ground in parts of Yorkshire until 2028. Well, today, people getting to work are hitting potholes. They're relying on unreliable trains, and you've brought into public ownership one of those train companies already. Shouldn't you be spending more on the here and now, certainly when it comes to attracting votes for your part, instead of things that are going to take years to come to fruition?
Well, look, transport schemes by their very nature take quite a long time to design and build.
But
and I think that if we've got space in the ground,
you could be filling the potholes today.
Well, and I can tell you, Matt, that we've got record investment in our highways maintenance budget. We added £500 million back in December to take up the budget to 1.6 billion. If every single penny of that was spent on filling potholes, that would equate to another 7 million potholes being filled this year. But what we've said to local authorities, because we really want to make sure that taxpayers are getting good bang for their buck and good value for money. So if local authorities say, actually, it would make sense to do preventative road resurfacing of a whole section of road, that would be right. So yes, in terms of fixing our broken roads after a decade of underinvestment under the Conservatives, that is a priority for the government. That's a conversation I've been having with the Chancellor as well in advance of the spending review next week, and we will have more to say on that next week. This is about part of the spending review and how we're going to be using money to improve local transport, better buses, better trams, better rail links in our fantastic city regions across the country. So it's a down payment, if you like. It's not everything we're going to be announcing when it comes to our transport system, but it is a critical component because it is about making those investments now, which are going to yield dividends for communities for many years into the future.
Certainly sounds like you're the one who's done well in those conversations with the Chancellor, whereas some of your colleagues may be a bit more frustrated. We'll find out more next week, of course. For now, Heidi Alexander, thank you very much indeed.